Hello and welcome. I'm Jeremy Cato Car Guy. Now, in this video, we're going to take a deep dive into this rig. This is the 2021 Ford Bronco Sport. All new, part of a bigger Ford Bronco brand that's being launched with a $1 billion investment. Now, should you buy it? I'm going to answer that question. As it turns out, the Bronco is a zombie brand, and the Bronco here, the Bronco brand, it's come back to life. Ford killed it, quarter of a century ago, under a cloud of all sorts of things, which we'll get into. But now it's back, and part of a whole bunch of different Bronco models. Now let me pause for a second here and talk about all the different Bronco and Bronco Sport models. What you're looking at here is the midsize Bronco, not the Bronco Sport like the one I'm testing today. Now, in this iteration, the Bronco starts at a base model of about 40,000 and change, while at the top of the range is the 56,000 plus Bronco Wildtrak. This Bronco is mid-size, it comes in 2 and 4 doors, and everything in the Bronco brand, both the mid-size Bronco and the compact-size Bronco Sport, the one I'm testing today, they all come with 4x4. Whether you get the big Bronco or the little Bronco Sport, all Broncos are supposed to be rugged off-roaders, bushwhackers, through and through, not soft-roaders, not citified SUVs, crossovers. Ford, in fact, is trying to create a Bronco brand essentially from scratch. Remember, the original Bronco was killed in the mid-90s. So there's a whole range of different possibilities with the Bronco. There's all kinds of accessories you can buy for it. There's different packages, different price ranges. It's all a very complicated and full range of Bronco vehicles. This rooftop tent package will actually set you back, about $1,000, a little bit more. And you can add even more things to this. You can mix and match, right? So in fact, your Bronco doesn't need to look like that guy's Bronco. Now hold on here. The Bronco brand, this off-roader brand, seems just a little bit out of step with the big themes in the auto industry today and the theme that Ford Motor has been pitching to buyers and investors lately. That is, Ford plans to spend $30 billion on electrification. The whole range is eventually going to be electrified in some way, but not Broncos. There are no plugs and there are no hybrids. This brings me to the Bronco Sport you're looking at here. The Bronco Sport, the Sport brand, those are the compact size Broncos, not the mid-size ones, which are the regular old Broncos. Might be a little bit confusing, but we'll get used to it. We'll all get used to it eventually. Anyway, the little Bronco here is supposed to be a nimbler, more aggressive package than the bigger Bronco. A little bit better in the outback, in the bush, a little bit better for fording streams and that sort of thing. Aside from all the weirded out Broncos, the ones with all these crazy accessories, well, there's a whole lineup of compact size Bronco Sports, with prices ranging at around 32 grand to 40,000 plus. For sure, it's an interesting little rig, but honestly, from the styling of it, I gotta tell you, the Jeep Wrangler, which is its direct competitor, I think the Wrangler has nailed that rugged off-road styling. This is far more tame. And underneath this fairly tame skin, you'll find some pretty rugged bits and pieces, and it starts with a fully independent suspension. Front struts tuned for the trail, huge monotube rear shocks and springs and anti-roll to smooth out the rough patches and provide the kind of angles and articulation needed to crawl over rocks and through bogs. Which brings me to the 4x4 systems. That's right, there are 2 systems available. The Bronco Sport comes standard with a pretty basic 4x4 layout, or you can upgrade to a 4x4 system with a twin clutch rear drive unit. There is a terrain management system which allows you to dial up any of up to 7 modes. 5 standard ones: sand, slippery, sport, eco, and normal, and 2 additional ones with the fancier 4x4 unit, rock crawl and mud ruts. Engines, you have 2 choices, both turbocharged. Obviously the bigger turbocharged motor is a better motor, it's more powerful, but it'll cost you more too. The pricier power plant is a 2-liter 4 rated at 245 horsepower and 275 pound-feet of torque. Lesser Broncos get a more modest 1.5-liter horsepower, 181, torque 190. Both engines are paired with an 8-speed automatic transmission. Let's roll on to some other nuts and bolts. The Bronco comes with something called trail control technology. This is the sort of thing that turns a nervous Nelly novice into Baja Bob. What is it? Think of cruise control set to 32 kilometers an hour going forward and 10K in reverse. All the throttle and braking are managed by the software. All the driver needs to do is focus on steering. The rubber here tells a story too. Standard with the Bronco Sport are 28.5-inch all-terrain tires. Or you can spend a bit more and get 29-inch all-terrain off-road tires with more aggressive, deeper treads. Well, obviously the ride height is here, you can see that, which means 60 centimeters of water fording capability. You can go across quite a substantial stream in this. And the approach and departure angles are designed exactly for doing all that crazy stuff in the outback. Honestly, the cabin here it's a bit utilitarian, but it's functional, and that's all with the whole theme of the Bronco, which is to go conquer the outback. Functional? There are zippered pockets, an under-seat storage compartment, a strap system for packing up your gear. You can dress things up with things like a heated leather-wrapped steering wheel and lots of other things. As for technology, well, you pay a lot for a bunch of things you probably don't need if you are a true blue off-roader. For example, you get Sync 3 with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Now, Sync 3 is a previous generation sync system, not the one in the most up-to-date Fords out there. A standard 8-inch touchscreen and a wireless charging pad. Yes, the standard 8-inch touchscreen, simply too small. And you get a big whack of driver assist technologies, the kind of thing, well, they take over when you get a little over your head. Okay, you've got the broad strokes, the big picture, but there's a lot more to this story than just features and design. Honestly, I was a little stunned by Ford's decision to go all Bronco. I mean, there is the electrification push, of course, which runs counter to what the Bronco actually stands for. And the Bronco's very existence then seems to contradict Ford's multi-billion-dollar plan to take the engines out of all its cars, or at least the gas engines. That aside though, didn't O.J. Simpson kill the Bronco way back in the 1990s? You know, with that LA freeway chase that lasted for hours and hours and hours and was broadcast all over the world. That chase, well, it seemed to turn the Bronco into a punchline. And if O.J. didn't kill the Bronco 2 surely did. Now we're going back to the 1980s, the Bronco 2, what a disaster. Now, initially it sold pretty well, but very soon the Bronco 2 was hit over and over and over again with all kinds of accusations about safety, mostly about rollover issues. Plus it was pretty ugly. Now for the record, this Bronco Sport is a safety star, a top safety pick by the Insurance Institute. And I'll tell you, from behind the wheel, this rig feels stable, solid, responsive. In all this, you might be asking, why would Ford bother resurrecting the once dead Bronco? The simple answer is Ford officials took a look at Jeep, saw all the billions Jeep is raking in, especially with its core models like the Wrangler, and decided they want a piece of that action. And you know, in the Bronco, Ford had an old brand, a dead brand, that I think some at Ford thought there's some value here, that we should develop this. I mean, after all, the Bronco brand dates back to the 1960s, and even before that, Ford was building World War II rigs a lot like the Jeep. In a nutshell, Ford dove into the archives and found a heritage brand that a lot of the bean counters, I'm sure, thought this brand will have some legs in an SUV-crazed marketplace. Take a look at this Bronco footage from 1968. It's pretty amusing, very American, and an example of what the Bronco meant to the marketplace and to Ford Motor Company decades and decades ago.
With the surf washing against the big tires of my four-wheel drive Bronco, I had many of the sensations of a boat trip in tolerable rough seas. A spanking breeze along with the tide marks on the beach gave the vehicle a slight but not unpleasant motion. In front beckoned stretches of unbroken seashore and sand dunes. At my side, I could feel the boom of the surf from the Gulf of Mexico, and I experienced the peaceful solitude a lone boatman far out at sea must have.
Did you get a kick out of that? I did. I mean, can you imagine driving a Bronco like this down a beach in Texas? I mean, Greta Thunberg would blow a gasket. I'll say this for sure. This is a super capable SUV. And what's underneath is really, really rugged. Inside, there's lots of first and second row headroom, and there's a cargo area that can accommodate 2 mountain bikes. Now, I don't know how many people are going to jump into this whole lifestyle thing and drop hundreds, thousands of dollars on a huge array of very cool accessories, but there's some profit to be made there for Ford, and that's the whole point of the thing. Just listen to all the goodies that are available, including washable rubber flooring throughout, silicone sealed control switches, and a storage bin under the second row passenger side seat for stowing wet, icy, or muddy gear. So what don't I like about the Bronco Sport? Well, for starters, that screen, that touch screen, small, too small. And the seats are flat, not particularly supportive, and in a long outback adventure, you might get quite uncomfortable. Also, the price. I mean, this rig you're looking at here, $47,000 plus tax. And finally, the whole electrification green planet thing. The Bronco here looks completely out of step with the broader trends that are out there in the marketplace. Despite all that practical stuff, I think the Bronco Sport's fun. And in terms of comparisons with the Jeep Wrangler, well, ride comfort here, drivability, and powertrain performance, the 2-liter turbocharged 4, all superior. To sum it all up, if I were going to buy a little compact rig, this is the one I'd probably step up to buy first. So you should buy it.